It's a knife when you're so pretty, they think it must be fake. It's a knife when they dissect your body on the front page. It's a knife when they won't believe you. Why should you explain? Right? And so she's made it clear that she doesn't like being the subject of all this discourse. You know, with all this, I would love to know your thoughts on the situation as a whole, right? Especially regarding the takes from experts at the fact that no matter the intent, sometimes saying something is just dangerous. Because, you know, there has been some pushback to those takes online from people who fear that saying nothing, it just normalizes dangerous behaviors or appearances. But then you have people countering that, saying, you know, well, pointing fingers, that's dangerous as well. But yeah, where do you land on this and why? Then let's talk about this huge Jussie Smollett news, or I'm sorry, Juicy Smoulier. God, Dave Chappelle's too powerful. The man told a joke about Jussie Smollett that was so funny, it changed his name to most of the public. Though the news today actually relates to why Chappelle made that joke about Jussie Smollett, and that is Jussie Smollett's conviction has now been overturned, with this decision coming from the Illinois Supreme Court. But also, before we get to why it was made, let's play some catch up. Because it's been a minute and it happened before COVID, and you know, I feel like we memory hold a lot of stuff. So if you don't quite remember, back in 2019, Smollett said that he was assaulted in Chicago by two men who yelled racist and homophobic slurs and even tossed a noose around his neck, leading to a massive media frenzy. But then we saw prosecutors accusing him of staging the attack himself, claiming that he hired and paid the two men and told them what to say, though Smollett has denied that this was a hoax and maintains that he was the victim of a hate crime. So he ended up facing charges for staging a hoax, but then the prosecution eventually dropped the charges in exchange for him forfeiting his bond and performing community service, which was something that did not land well with the public. And so then a special prosecutor revived the case, and he ended up being convicted of disorderly conduct for falsely reporting to the police, with him then getting sentenced to 5 months in jail back in 2022, though he was let out just a few days later after he was released on appeal. But now what we're seeing is that the state Supreme Court has decided that the second prosecution violated Smollett's rights. With a justice writing, we hold that a second prosecution under these circumstances is a due process violation, and we therefore reverse the defendant's conviction. With the judge adding that even though the case generated public interest and not everyone was happy with the solution, what would be more unjust than the resolution of any one criminal case would be a holding from this court that the state was not bound to honor agreements upon which people have detrimentally relied. And with that, as the Associated Press explained, this ruling does not address Smollett's claim of innocence. And that is actually something that the special prosecutor touched on in a statement shared with the outlet, saying the Illinois Supreme Court did not find any error with the overwhelming evidence presented at trial that Mr. Smollett orchestrated a fake hate crime and reported it to the Chicago Police Department as a real hate crime, or the jury's unanimous verdict that Mr. Smollett was guilty of 5 counts of felony disorderly conduct. And it seems there is still an opportunity for a civil case to go forward, though understandably for his part, Smollett's lawyers have celebrated this decision. But then, y'all, we gotta talk about this Matt Gaetz controversy and news, which some online have dubbed Pizza Gaetz, and that because Matt Gaetz has now withdrawn his name from consideration for Attorney General, with him announcing the move in a statement on X this morning, saying, "I had excellent meetings with senators yesterday. I appreciate their thoughtful feedback and the incredible support of so many," and adding, "While the momentum was strong, it is clear that my confirmation was unfairly becoming a distraction to the critical work of the Trump-Vance transition," going on to say there is no time to waste on a needlessly protracted Washington scuffle, thus I'll be withdrawing my name from consideration to serve as Attorney General, with him then going on to say that he remains fully committed to ensuring the success of Trump's presidency and is honored to have been tapped to run the DOJ, which many see as a clear admission that Gaetz was just essentially told that he didn't have enough support from Senate Republicans to have his nomination approved, which is also something that seems to have been confirmed by sources close to both Trump and Gaetz and openly stated by at least one Republican senator, right? And this decision comes after a whirlwind last few days for Gaetz, because while he was meeting with senators yesterday, the House Ethics Committee was discussing whether or not to release its report into allegations against Gaetz of sexual misconduct, drug use, and accepting improper gifts, with many Republicans arguing that it would be against the House rules to release the report because the Ethics Committee can only investigate sitting members. But Gaetz resigned immediately after Trump tapped him for AG. And while the panel, which is evenly split among Democrats and Republicans, was unable to reach an agreement to release the report, we've still gotten some insight into what those findings might contain. Earlier this week, for example, some pretty bombshell revelations came from the lawyer who represents 2 women who testified against Gaetz, with that attorney, Joel Leppard, confirming that both his clients told the House panel that Gaetz paid them for sex on multiple occasions. And also, one of those women told lawmakers she personally saw him having sex with a minor.
She testified in July of 2017 at this house party. She was walking out to the pool area and she looked to her right and she saw Representative Gaetz having sex with her friend who was 17.
With Leppard going on to say that his client testified that her understanding was that Gaetz didn't know that the girl was a minor when he had sex with her. Well, she said he initially broke things off when he learned that she was underage. He restarted a sexual relationship with the girl when she turned 18. So, right there, we're looking at allegations of having sex with a minor and paying for sex in violation of Florida prostitution law. But also, that's not it, because Leppard also said that his clients attended multiple drug-fueled sex parties where Gaetz paid them for sex, but there were other occasions as well.
Well, not all of them were parties. So some of them were events, such as they attended election events, like at hotels. They went with him to New York for a taping on Fox News. but approximately perhaps 10 times, 10 to 15 times.
Their testimony is that Representative Gaetz took them across state lines for the purpose of having sex and paid them for that.
That's correct.
Right, and that ends up being notable because if those claims are true, that would be a violation of federal sex trafficking laws. Now with this, Gaetz, for his part, has denied the allegations, which a spokesperson called baseless. But that also wasn't the only intel we got on what the ethics committee had heard, because it was also reported yesterday that sources familiar with the investigation said that the ethics panel had obtained records showing that Gaetz paid more than $10,000 to 2 women who testified before the members, with one source adding that the 2 women testified that some of those payments were for sex. And those claims have also been bolstered by documents obtained by the New York Times, which also appear to confirm that those 2 women had received payments from Gaetz. And then on top of all that, today, right before Gaetz announced that he was withdrawing his bid for AG, you had CNN reporting that the woman who claimed she had sex with Gaetz as a minor told the House Ethics Committee she had 2 sexual encounters with him at one party in 2017, according to sources familiar with her testimony. With the outlet reporting that the woman who was 17 at the time testified that the previously unreported second encounter included another adult woman. Though this, as multiple sources said that the other woman denied participating in the encounter. But all that messiness and the moving parts aside, right, there's a big question now of, well, what happens next? First of all, who is Trump going to tap to lead the DOJ now that Gaetz is out? Also, there's a big question now with Gaetz's withdrawal and all this kind of stuff that has happened. Does it change Trump and the people around him's mindset of who they're going to nominate? With, for example, the Associated Press explaining that this is a major setback to Trump's efforts to install loyalists because it shows he's already facing resistance from his own party. Also, there's the question of, well, what is Gaetz going to do next? Because he made the very unusual move of resigning from Congress immediately after Trump announced his nomination, which, as we talked about in the past, was very unusual because people in office usually don't leave their current positions until they're confirmed, in case what happened here happens. Well, some have speculated whether he might reconsider his resignation. Others have noted that the resignation letter he submitted to the House said that he didn't intend to return for the next session of Congress. So while his intentions may have changed, it's unclear right now if that letter is binding or if it could complicate an attempt to return. And then also, if he returned, he would be considered a sitting member of Congress again, meaning that he would be under the jurisdiction of the Ethics Committee again, who could then potentially justify releasing its report on it. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with this whole mess soon enough. And I think I'm just gonna start every morning by tweeting, dang, that's crazy. Because it genuinely feels like it's gonna be applicable to every single day from here on out. Like, just to switch gears into my mindset around everything right now. Am I alone in that I've kind of just woken up every morning and like before I see the news, and then when I see the news, I just go, yeah, sure, fuck it. Why not? Why is that not the news? Of course it is. Like, I just feel over everything. Like, there is a part of me that is genuinely shocked this Gaetz thing has been shut down. Because based off of the specific numbers and everything that we've been seeing, it feels like the closest thing to a guardrail that's in place is a singular rubber band. Anyway, who do you think that he's gonna nominate next for AG? I've seen a lot of people joke Judge Judy, but I genuinely think there's a non-zero chance it's Jeanine Pirro. Yeah, actually, you know what? That's so stupid, it's happening. I'm calling the shot before the pitch. Then taking a quick break from the news, it's that time of year where I want to share what I love and the awesome discounts being offered to make it easier for y'all to love them too. Right, like getting 40% off the best sheets I've ever owned. For real, 40% off our fantastic sponsor, Cozy Earth. For the folks who have nailed the comfort game. I mean, Cozy Earth's bamboo sheet set, it is the ultimate gift this holiday season. It's the gift of unparalleled comfort, making every night feel like, well, it's about you, all about you. Right? Made from viscose derived from bamboo, this helps regulate temperature no matter the season, right? Who doesn't want that? Also, have you checked out their Cityscape collection yet? Cityscape sweats and hoodies, they're a loungewear staple designed for comfort and functionality. They bring comfort with you wherever the holidays take you. And they just elevate everyday luxury into something that everyone will use and absolutely appreciate. Plus, everything Cozy Earth makes is built to last. They do not pill and they stay soft wash after wash after wash. Plus, they even back it up with a 10-year warranty on bedding and bath products. So y'all wrap the ones that you love in luxury with Cozy Earth. Just go to cozyearth.com/DeFranco and enter DeFranco to get 40% off to give the gift of luxury this holiday season. That's cozyearth.com/DeFranco. And if you get a post-purchase survey, just say you heard about Cozy Earth from the PDS. But then, y'all, we gotta talk about these headlines that we've been seeing about Russia reportedly firing an ICBM at Ukraine. Because ICBM is short for Intercontinental Ballistic Missile, and they're best known for being the type of missile to carry a nuclear payload. And if this news was true, it would be the first time one's been used in any armed conflict. But here's the thing. It's not. With us now seeing, for example, the US National Security Council releasing a statement saying that it was actually an experimental medium-range ballistic missile. With that, then later being confirmed by Putin himself, who announced that Russia had combat tested the brand new hypersonic missile system, quote, in response to the aggressive actions of NATO countries against Russia. And with that, warning that the Kremlin could strike the military installations of any country whose weapons were used against Russia. And on top of that, while the new missile was not technically an ICBM, it reportedly appears to be capable of carrying a nuclear warhead. Of course, this time it wasn't. But according to experts, experts, that fact is much more significant than whether it was intercontinental or medium range. It's another clear sign of how the situation is just